Hey Living Water Church kids, it's Kevin here. Today I wanted to share with you guys the story of Jonah and the whale. I'm sure you guys are all very familiar with the story of Jonah and the whale, but what you're probably not familiar with is the story of Jonah and the whale told to you by me with my really awesome drawings. So let's get started. So in chapter 1 of Jonah, we see God telling Jonah that he needs to go to the city of Nineveh in order to tell the people of Nineveh that they are living awful and wicked lives and that they need to repent in order to prevent God from destroying their entire city. For whatever reason, though, Jonah says, how about no? And in an act of disobedience, he heads to the complete opposite side of the country. As you can see, Nineveh is over here, and Joppa, the city that Jonah goes to, is over here. And in Joppa, he plans on boarding a boat and heading to another city called Tarshish. But on the way to Tarshish, Jonah runs into a bit of a problem. God sends this really big storm to the boat. And it's a storm that is so big that everybody on board is convinced they're going to die. One guy does ask, though, he says, whose sin is it that caused this storm to come upon us? And they eventually find out that it's Jonah. And in order to prevent the storm from continuing and from sinking their boat, they decide that they have to throw Jonah in the ocean. So that's exactly what they do. And as soon as Jonah hits the water, the storm calms. Everything is good. Well, not for Jonah, though. Unfortunately, Jonah doesn't just get wet. He also gets swallowed by a whale. Not a great day he's having. Actually, not a great few days. He spends 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of this whale, and he, in the belly of the whale, asks God for forgiveness for his sin, for running away from him. And he tells God, if he does spare his life, that he will do what God told him to do in the first place. So, that's what happens. God tells the whale to spit Jonah up onto dry land, like you see here, so that way he can do what God told him to do in the first place. And that is to go over here to the city of Nineveh. And he has about a 3-day walk, so he has plenty of time to get that fish smell off of him. And when he gets to the city of Nineveh, he tells all the people what God has told him to say, and that they need to repent from their sin, otherwise in 40 days, God is going to destroy their city. They take his warnings very seriously, actually, and the king of Nineveh tells all the people that they need to repent and wear sackcloth in order to signify that they have repented. And this is my little sackcloth pictures. Pretty awesome sackcloth, if you don't mind me saying. But Jonah's not convinced. He still thinks that God is going to destroy the city. And so in order to get a good view of God doing so, he gets up on this hill underneath this palm tree and watches. However, God has mercy on the Ninevites, and he decides not to destroy the city. And they throw a party because of that, because they are very happy that God had mercy on them. However, Jonah is not. He throws kind of a temper tantrum here. Well, to start off, his tree that he was taking shade under shrivels up and dies. And he cries out to God saying, hey, how could you let all these people who were, so awful live? Also, it is so hot that I just want to die. That is literally what he says. It is kind of ridiculous if you ask me. And he's being kind of a drama queen, don't you think? But God rebukes Jonah and says, really? You're upset that I spared the lives of over 100,000 people? Really, bro? And that is honestly how the story of Jonah ends. We don't know how Jonah responds to that. What we do know, though, is that God is a forgiving God. A lot of people think that in the New Testament, God turns into this really nice, loving, forgiving guy. But in the Old Testament, he's kind of a cranky guy who just seems to always be angry. But we can see in the story of Jonah, though, that that's not the case at all, that he is actually always looking to forgive. He just needs people to repent. That's what happened with the Ninevites. That's what happened when Jonah was in the belly of the whale. When he asked for forgiveness, God forgave. And if that's what he did this time, God will forgive him again. And the same thing is true for you and me. If we mess up, God is faithful and just to forgive us. And so that is one of the lessons that you can take away from the story of Jonah. The other story or lesson is, if you disobey God, you will probably get swallowed by a whale. No, I'm just kidding, guys. You're not going to get swallowed by a whale from disobeying God. But there are consequences to our sin. So that's why it's important when we disobey our parents or do other wrong things that we are quick to say we're sorry, first to God, and then to the people that we did wrong, and then to move on. I love and miss you guys so much. I cannot wait till we're all together at church again. Until then, stay safe, stay warm, and have fun with, the time that you do have off.